Since there was no shoujo in the lower room, I left it to B and hurriedly ascended the stairs. I kicked open the door on the second floor. "A!" I shouted A's name to intimidate any shoujo inside. Inside the room, A was tied with a rope, hanging from the ceiling in a state of undress, her legs bound to the floor. However, there was no shoujo inside.
Taro?
A! More than seeing A bound, I was overjoyed to find her alive. I used the scissors from my bag to cut the rope binding A, gave her purified water to drink, affixed a talisman to her back, and sprinkled salt on her. I carried A, and just before descending the stairs,
Taro! Behind you!
I turned around.
Oh!
Behind me, there was a black figure, or rather, a male shoujo with a noose around his neck, uttering words I couldn't understand. I recited the incantation I had learned from the priest. However, the male shoujo approached. Holding A, I stepped backward. At that moment, A uttered an incantation I didn't know. The male shoujo's body seemed to convulse. Still holding A, I rushed down the stairs, and we escaped from the hut.
Hey, Taro! Let's go quickly!
B shouted. Yeah! We ran along the forest path. The female shoujo moaned, approaching us. They've come. B recited the incantation. When he recited the incantation, the female shoujo disappeared. It seemed to work on the female.
Looks like it worked.
At that moment, I heard the familiar sound of pom, pom. It filled me with an uneasy premonition. Suddenly, the female shoujo appeared from beneath B, grabbing his leg.
B! True! Go ahead!
B was dragged away by the female shoujo. Swearing to come back and save B, I ran relentlessly. We reached the priest's group.
You've returned. Where's B?
Asked the priest. He got caught to let us escape.
Oh no.
Take A to the main hall immediately.
A member of the priest's family commanded. The priest and I, along with the priest's family, quickly returned to the village. There, the villagers conveyed to the priest something important.
The B family left the village just now. How dare they've broken a taboo,
remarked a member of the priest's family. Summing up the villagers' story, while the priest's family was at Shogaike, B's family took advantage of the opportunity, got in a car, and forcibly broke through the village's entrance. Today is the day of the Tensei festival, and leaving the village constitutes breaking the second taboo. The reason for B's family leaving was probably the fear of being expelled due to the village's ostracism. I found it hard to believe that B's family, who fled the village without waiting for the return of their son, the heir, was only concerned with self-preservation. Frankly, I thought it would be good if some punishment befell them. August 15th, Tensei Festival Day, 6 a.m. A, taken to the main sanctuary of the shrine, underwent a purification ritual to cleanse the impurities from her body. She headed toward the prepared waterfall. It seems A's parents are accompanying her during the purification. Meanwhile, I was called back to the main shrine for another discussion with a priest's family member.
To be straightforward, it's about B. It's probably too late for him. A, being a young woman, became an advantage for the shoujo, which might have kept her confined and spared her from worse fates. But B is a young man. For male shoujo, men are nothing but a hindrance. Just because of that, B will likely be killed.
When I pledged to save him, I had a vague sense that it might be too late. Despite understanding, tears streamed down my face at the loss of my best friend.
His soul will likely linger forever in that hut. He will become the second male shoujo in that hut. There's nothing we can do about shoujo. That entity is already in existence outside the norm. If you are still being called to that hut, you might meet him again by going there once more. But this time, you will undoubtedly be killed. Besides, if you die, A will be left alone. Don't forget about that.
Crying, I understood that this was not a problem that could be solved by tears. The priest's family member explained everything I wanted to know. If I die, A will be left alone. Apologizing to B in my heart, I realized for the first time that I was heartless. August 15th, Tensei Festival Day, 10 a.m. After A's purification ritual, the cleansing of the affected areas by the Shoja began, essentially, a purification of the entire body. A and I, clad in white robes over our nudity, were repeatedly doused with cold water throughout the chanting of the sacred prayers. Although A shed tears at times, we endured the 3-hour purification. In the end, I felt as though something had left my body, making me feel lighter all over. After completing the purification, the priest shared some information about A with me.
With this, A's impurities and hindrances have completely disappeared. As for A, I witnessed the hindrances detaching from various parts of her body. Likely, she experienced not only confinement in that hut, but also acts bordering on assault repeatedly.
Naturally, the priest's hands trembled with anger. He explained why he shared this information with me.
There will come a time when you'll stand by A's side and make the right judgment. A cares about your well-being. Promise me that you'll make the right judgment this time.
Upon hearing the priest's prophetic words, I made a strong vow to protect A this time. August 15th, Tensei Festival Day, 11 a.m. After the purification ritual and finishing our meal, A and I were relaxing at the priest's family estate, which was essentially A's home. Since the moment A was captured by the hut, I hadn't engaged in a conversation with her. I decided to break the silence. Hey, since we've got some time, how about playing Hanafuda cards?
Sure, why not? Let's play Koi Koi.
Yeah. Finally, a normal conversation could take place. While playing Hanafuda cards, I asked A about the events from the night before, when we entered the Shoga-ika forest, up until the completion of today's purification ritual. She had no recollection of anything during our time in the hut, but she mentioned that since lunch, she started seeing ghost-like entities. Even though the memories within the hut were absent, A was undeniably affected both mentally and physically. I pledged to turn this experience into a lifelong lesson for A and B. A was informed by her parents that B had moved away with his family. August 15th, Tensei Festival Day, 3 p.m. In front of the shrine's Kagura Hall, the priest summoned all the villagers for an important announcement. A and I also made our way to the Kagura Hall.
I know this is sudden, but we've decided to cancel this year's Tensei Festival. I appreciate everyone's preparations, but unexpected incidents have been occurring since yesterday. There's the matter with the Oni hut, the escape of the B family, and the destruction of the spirit stone inside the forest shrine. Regarding the shrine incident, I went to the forest shrine yesterday morning to check for any abnormalities. At that time, the seals around the shrine were intact, and the spirit stone wasn't damaged. However, this morning when I went to confirm, the seals were broken, and both the shrine stone and the spirit stone of the first priest were destroyed. Given that there was no trace of spiritual power left in the shattered spirit stone, it seems someone stole the spiritual power and then destroyed the stone. The spirit stone of the first priest was the force supporting all the seals in this village. Now that the maintenance of the seals has become impossible, all the seals have crumbled and the sealed entities are overflowing. Disaster will befall this village.
As expected, the villagers began to panic. The culprit who destroyed the forest shrine's spirit stone, though no one said it out loud, the villagers suspected it was the work of the B family.
From now on, we'll lift all the restrictions in this village. Our family has decided to escape this village. We'll leave tonight. That's all.
The situation took an unexpected turn. Disaster in the village? I was slightly bewildered. There had been various incidents since yesterday, but somewhere in my mind, I convinced myself that it wouldn't affect the entire village. However, looking back, every cause of disaster in the village traced back to me. What about my family? The thought crossed my mind.
Your family is moving to a hotel with my family.
A said, "Really?"
I overheard your dad and mine talking about it.
I see. For some reason, I felt relieved. Whether it was because I could stay with A or because we were leaving the village, I couldn't quite pinpoint it. At that moment, my mind was filled with various emotions. August 15th, 5 p.m. 2 hours had passed since the priest's revelation. The village was in uproar after the news spread among the villagers. Some were preparing to flee, others argued about staying, and conflicts erupted here and there. My family, along with A's family, the priest's family, decided to temporarily move to the hotel managed by my family. I would also be changing schools.
It's goodbye to the village.
A murmured. Yeah, it is.
I wonder what will happen to this place.
I don't know either. According to what I directly asked the priest, the power of the Spirit Stone, sealed with the spiritual energy of the first priest, apparently lasted only until the year just before the first priest's death. Immediately after his death, the power dissipated. The descendants of the first priest then created taboos related to the Tensei festival, and the villagers, in fear of those taboos, somehow gathered their thoughts on the stones. These stones turned into spirit stones, serving as the core for various seals and barriers in the village. Now, with the spirit stone destroyed and its power stolen, the hundreds of seals and barriers placed on the village were gradually collapsing. It seemed that the complete collapse was inevitable, and no one knew when it would happen. August 20th, 5 days later. The prophecy states that when everything completely collapses, the calamity that has lingered in the village will strike. Frankly, I can't help but think that there are still hidden aspects to this legend, uncertain of what part is actually true. The priest himself seems to have doubts about the incident of the shrine's seal being broken. To summarize his concerns, it appears that only one person broke the seal around the shrine, judging from the traces left behind. The B family certainly knew the location of the shrine, and there were many footprints around the destroyed spirit stone. Therefore, there is no mistake that the B family destroyed the spirit stone. However, even if someone knows the location of the shrine and goes there, they become powerless in front of the seal that deprives approaching individuals of vitality and cannot approach the shrine. The successive priests have been repairing seals when these get weakened by employing a method to reseal them. The spirit stone was destroyed right after the priest resealed it, so rather than being weakened, it was in a perfectly intact state. In summary, humans cannot break the shrine's seal, but entities beyond humans can break it and allow the B family to access the shrine. I felt a sense of unease, wondering if I had forgotten something. August 15th, 7 p.m. A dedicated vehicle carrying me and A's family departed from the village. Simultaneously, a large vehicle loaded with essential belongings and important items of both families also left the village. In my mind, I muttered, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Did I miss something crucial in the early stages that led to this outcome?
Did you forget something?
A asked. No, it seems like it was just my imagination, I replied. I tried not to dwell too much on it, and so we left the village behind.